you don't need to feel the pressure of, hey, I need to jump in now as it starts going up. You can wait for a pullback. Or you could jump in now, and then when a pullback happens, be prepared to get more. And don't sell, but buy more, right?
Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
All right. Super excited to be with you guys today. Go to wherever you listen, iTunes, check out the other platforms, wherever you listen to your podcast episodes, hit that subscribe button to Ready, Set, Go. Real Estate Investing Podcast. That's Ready, Set, Go, REI Podcast. What that will do is give you the newest notification every single Monday when that podcast episode drops. After listening to a handful of those episodes, leave that 5-star review. We're doing this all for the purpose to educate, motivate, and prepare you, my friends, to take action in real estate investing. It's absolutely changed my life and Jen and our family, and couldn't be more grateful. We have amazing guests on a regular basis to be able to bless you as well and hear more about their testimony, how they've been able to do it, learning curves along the way. So if you haven't actually checked us out, you're missing out, because it's been 6+ years we've been doing this every single Monday. Now, there is a ton of opportunities coming up. I'm going to talk about that, how you're capitalizing off the opportunities. I want to talk about that and how to position yourself and prepare yourself truthfully for what is coming up. Okay. I think there is amazing things coming up that we're all going to want to capitalize off of, and 'tis the season to do so. In the next, literally, I believe in the next 30 days to 90 days, as soon as that time frame, 30 to 90 days, I think there could be some opportunities that are popping up that could really start the trajectory of increase for a lot of us. Some people will be prepared, as always, right? And then many people will be on one side, just totally left out. The goal here is to educate, motivate, and prepare you so that you are not left out. All right, so let's get into it. Guys, I am excited to be with you here today. I want to talk about some big changes, some big things coming up, right? Obviously, you guys know about the tariffs. You guys know there is a lot of chaos in the mix with that. And, there's a lot of complaining, bitching and moaning going on at the end of the day. Excuse the French. But there's a lot going on behind it. And I look at this as it's an opportunity. It's also something needs to take place. Like, there's been too much chaos for too long. And just trying to get down to an even playing field, it's negotiating time. And so a lot of countries have already come to the table and, want to negotiate, try to figure something out, which is great. There's other countries that are going to be a little bit more stubborn. It's in their nature. It's going to be, it's common, but it forces people to come to the table, even if we have to take a short period time of sacrifice for us. And I know it doesn't feel good. I've seen farmers upset and steaks going up, doubling or tripling in price, and all these other pieces to the puzzle that are affecting the average day American over here. And I get it. But understand this, as much as you look at this situation and you're like, dude, I can't afford this, we don't realize how blessed that we are and how much we take for sacrifice. We are the biggest country in the world that is the biggest buyer, right? We're the biggest buyer in the world, almost 4 trillion plus in purchasing from other countries, right? And so that power right there is strong enough. It's strong enough. We're the ones holding the gold. We're the ones holding the inventory here. We're the ones with the buying power. Therefore, we have the negotiation tactics in our favor. These other countries aren't going to be able to withstand. Eventually they will go bankrupt. They will be in extreme poverty. And other countries, as you travel the world, you start realizing wow, there's, there is some tough areas around the world. There's some blessed areas as well. But if we hold all the buying power and we are the most powerful country, being able to actually, something needs to give, right? And so it puts us in a strong position to be able to negotiate, but also to get things corrected sooner than later, even if we have to do a small sacrifice of, temporarily holdbacks, right? This is going to help us get onto an even playing ground, get us back into a favorable position, bring more opportunities to here in America too, I believe, and it's going to set us up for more success in the longevity of things. If you don't believe in that, that's okay. I'm open to hearing your feedback. So hit me with whatever you got. With that being said, right now, I do believe is the time to get fully prepared to be liquid right now. Like there's reasons in addition to other reasons that I've stated in the past of why we were selling off properties over in Ohio. Is taking time away from me and stuff like that. But we also wanted to cash in and get as much liquid as we can, right? And so we want to get liquid right now, even if you don't feel like you need it, even though your bank account doesn't need it and so forth. There's opportunities that are going to be coming up, not just because of tariffs, but because of a ripple effect that affects everything, right? The economy in general, that it's going to open up some opportunities that you can capitalize on and ways that you can make 25, 50%, double your money. Like there's opportunities coming up. I believe we are going in, especially with the signs that are showing, into a bull market as well for crypto, and stocks typically follow that, but there is starting to be a less of a gap and signs, kind of pulling back from that, which is great. It's great news. But regardless, it is still following it. When we saw the pullbacks on stocks in just the previous couple of weeks because of the tariffs and all the chaos, it's like the scarcity, the fear in the market. I believe, again, small sacrifices to the bigger picture. And so I think the market, once these negotiations with other countries start dialing in and we see, peace starting to come from it and opportunities starting to line up from it, it's a small short-term sacrifice. It may be a couple months, it could be 6 months, it could be something longer as well to see the ripple effect from those sacrifices. But I truly do believe that there will be amazing opportunities that come from it at the end. And so getting prepared with liquid capital right now is going to set you up for success. Locking in rates, right? Like for the Fed, like Jerome Powell has already mentioned that he's, Trump is doing everything that he can to try to bring down those damn rates, because that's going to set us up in a better position to be able to have more American spending and qualify and so forth, and just be able to afford things, right? Instead of having kind of chaos from that. And the Fed is just exercising its rights by flexing, saying like, hey, we don't work for the government. We are a third-party agency, third-party company, third-party business, and you're not going to tell us what to do. And so Jerome is already flexing a couple times, saying, hey, in the next week or so, or the next 2 weeks, when the rate announcement comes out, he may just pop that bad boy up a little bit. And so if that happens, what's the consequences from that, right? There could be some issues with that. However, it's one of those circumstances that if you lock in liquid cash right now, then you're protecting yourself if rates go up. And you can always refinance later on down the road, right? If rates go lower. You want to prepare yourself and get positioned to have as much liquid as possible so that when these opportunities start popping off, and like a crypto, for example, if that starts taking off, and all calculated risk by all means, like do your own due diligence. Stop sleeping or taking influencers or something online or somebody that like and trust, and just taking their opinion for it and seeing their chart and saying, oh, that makes sense, I'll just do that. Do your own due diligence and figure out, get educated and make your own calculated decisions, gather the data, but try your best not to be influenced by it, and challenge everything that you hear, right? Everything that you see, challenge it and poke at it with a fine-tuned comb. Look at the worst case scenario, look at the best case scenario. Try to find somewhere in the middle, be a little bit more pessimistic, or, just have backup plans with your investment opportunities, right? But if you're prepared for this bull market and so forth, if one is in the mix, then, but also are prepared for the turbulence, then understanding that, hey, these markets, it's very typical during these seasons for it to get corrected 5 to 8 times. Very, very common. And that's why, like, you should see and anticipate 20 to 40% drop in some cases, just like we saw a couple weeks ago. It's like, in those circumstances, if you are already talking yourself out of this market saying, well, crypto's too high right now, the prices are too high, I can't get in, or you start desperately getting in when the market's going up, and then you see a correction happen, you start freaking out, you start selling everything. Don't do that. Understand for the long run, the long play, what is that going to look like? How do I position myself properly? How can I be patient and wait, right? At the end of the day, just position yourself properly for this is going to set you up for success. So I just encourage you, like, these pullbacks happen, again, 20 to 40% common. They happen every 6 to 10 weeks typically. And so if you are anticipating 5 to 10 of these throughout the year, then number one, you don't need to feel the pressure of, hey, I need to jump in now as it starts going up. You can wait for a pullback. Or you could jump in now, and then when a pullback happens, be prepared to get more, and don't sell, but buy more, right? And yeah, just be on the lookout for these opportunities. You want to get liquid right now, though. You don't want to put everything into just one investment opportunity. Diversify. Be prepared for this. I think the housing market, there will be incredible opportunities as well. So again, get liquid, have these opportunities when they present itself, you can capitalize and jump on it quickly instead of waiting, because, fast money gets rewarded with these investments. And so you want to be prepared and positioned, but just understand, if you're locking in some higher interest rates now, you can always refinance later. Even if you don't need the capital right now, be prepared with it, because this is where you can capitalize and you can scale and jump in, and it can bless you in many ways, right? Obviously, don't over leverage, protect yourself, have backup plans, do your own due diligence. All right, with that being said, I do want to talk about, obviously, how do you get prepared for this and how do we get liquid? But before that, let's talk about real estate for a second, because that's our bread and butter, right? Ready, set, go, real estate investing podcast. And not just any, not just business, not just other investment opportunities. Let's talk about real estate for a second. There's so many people that I've talked to in the past that have been sleeping on real estate, newbies that want to get started, and that's okay. You got to get started somewhere. But they always say, like, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today, right? And so preparing for the next 30 to 60, 90 days to actually be able to buy an investment opportunity, let's talk about it. Okay, I've talked about this numerous times in the past, but it has been in the past. It's been a while. I want to make this fresh and make sure that you guys are really soaking this up. If you haven't gotten a brand new deal, like your very first deal, or it's been a while and you feel a little rusty and you're like, hey, I bought my primary home, but I'm talking about an investment opportunity. What do I do, Brandon? This is the step-by-step play that I use to this day, even though I've done almost 50 plus transactions. Like, if you take this to heart and you implement this just like I do, whenever I'm looking for an opportunity, I will do the same exact strategy, and it works every single time. Okay. And I'll share the secret sauce with you in just a moment, but I want to break it down step by step so that you are laser beam focused and you treat this as if it's a big funnel and how to squeeze the juice out of every little bit and piece of it. Okay. So let's talk about it. Number one is, let's get crystal clear on what strategy that you're picking. I see this day in and day out. A lot of people are just like, hey, I want to do real estate. And then you're like, cool, what kind of real estate? I mean, there's 30 plus ways to make money in real estate, So which way? Well, I'm interested in, doing some fix and flip, some wholesale. You said you do mobile home parks. Yeah, I'll do that too. That sounds awesome. I'll do some wholesaling. I'll do some fix and flips. I'll be a private money lender. Yeah, that sounds cool. I'll do some multifamily. Too many things. The individual that chases, a bunch of rabbits catches none. So prepare yourself by understanding, let's get liquid, let's get clarity, let's get centered on exactly what we're going after, right? The riches are in the niches, right? Let's niche this down a little bit and get very solidified with what we're going to do. So let's pick the strategy. And this is what I recommend. I recommend just sitting down and going over all the strategies that you can find. Literally, you could Google it. There's 30 plus ways to make money in real estate. You can go on biggerpockets.com, and I believe they have a list of like 100 on there, okay? Which they really just get carried away, in my opinion, by saying, kind of categorizing or separating things that should be categorized, such as like a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex. To me, that's all residential multifamily. So I just categorize them all in residential multifamily. But again, like if I'm looking for a triplex, I'm also okay with a fourplex or a duplex. That's just what it is. Anyway, so I would recommend just do a little bit of due diligence for understanding what it looks like to buy and like from the very beginning and sell, or whatever the plan is. Are you going to burr it? Are you going to flip it? Are you going to do it for tax benefits, cash flow, appreciation? What are you doing it for? Can you do a combination of all? Like, how are we going to capitalize off of this the most to squeeze out as much juice as possible? See, I love the burr strategy personally, where you're buying, you're renovating, you're refinancing, or sorry, you're renting, you're buying, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. You do that whole process, you get to get something that's beat up from the feet up in the neighborhood. You make it brand new again, make it beautiful. You rent it out to a well-qualified tenant, typically for higher rents, which is great. And then afterwards, you get to refinance it and get all of your money, or as close to all your money, sometimes even more than what you have into it, back. And then you pay off the credit cards, right? 0%. You pay it off, smart capital. And then you repeat that process, right? But I still get the cash flow, I get the tax benefits, I get the appreciation down the road if I'm buying in those type of neighborhoods. There's benefits to doing all of this. And if you get clarity and understand, it's got to align with your lifestyle and your time management and your financial requirements up front, though. Like I've talked to people that say, hey, I want to do a fix and flip, and they do a 2-hour commute every day. 2 hours there, 2 hours back. That's 4 hours of their day. Plus, they have a wife at home and 4 kids, and you're working an 8-hour day. You're barely seeing the kids in the morning, if you do at all, barely seeing them at night. And now you're trying to do a fix and flip? How are you going to do that? Like, where are you going to do that? Right? And so getting really crystal clear what your time is going to allow you to be able to produce and do, right? A fix and flip, especially your first one, you may need to be a little bit more present and hands-on and be there and handle problems and so forth and make decisions during business hours, like during the day and so forth. And being able to get to the job site if needed, or have boots in ground like nearby to be able to handle that, right? Otherwise, if you're at a desk all day or doing these long commutes, like how are you going to be able to make that happen, right? And then your finances, do you have the capital, or are you positioned? Are you prepared? Do you have the 0% funding that you need to be able to grow and scale this or start this in general, right? If you don't, then you need to find somebody that does. But this is what I recommend. Understanding what it looks like from beginning to end. There's for each of these strategies, right? The more that you can understand each of these strategies, the 30 plus ways or the 100 on Bigger Pockets, then you have all these positions in your tool belt that you start filling, right? And then now you are equipped. When you run into a problem, a situation, and it doesn't work with plan A, you don't need to jump to plan Z right away and like burn the ships and fire sell everything, take a loss and pay all this extra money. You don't need to do that, because now you have all these other pieces. You're educated, well educated. You have all these other tools that you can pull out and say, well, what about plan B? This is probably the next best solution, or plan C, plan D. Like, you're just positioned a little differently. And so I encourage you, if you focus on these pieces behind it, it will set you up for more success, understanding all of these. But at the end of the day, you got to pick one. So pick one. Pick one. For going back to that example, right? Like, I always go in to do a burr strategy. And if I'm doing it in California, I'm trying to make at least $250,000 to $500,000. And I know that might sound greedy. That might sound like too much, or how the hell am I supposed to find that? The deals are out there. If I get 10 deals across my desk per week from wholesalers and other agents that know what I'm looking for, then they're sending me some profitable deals. They're not going to waste my time with a deal that's only going to make $50K, because when mistakes happen, or miscellaneous things pop up or things that we didn't see up front, those things take place. Now the budget is over, cost is taking longer, and now that 50K is gone like that. So if I'm looking for a minimum of $250,000, 250,000, or up to 500,000 or more, ideally, then this is great news because now I have much more wiggle room. It could take longer. It could cost me more. It could be a complete nightmare. And I have still a high probability of making profit on it. And that's not a bad day. Plus the tax benefits and everything else. So if I can do a burst strategy on something, great, and make great profits, amazing. Worst case scenario, if I can't, then and the goal is to get all your money back, right? If I can't do that, then now my plan B is, well, I could potentially flip it. I could sell it, right? That's plan B. If I can't do that, could I do Airbnb? Could I, there's a bunch of different things that you start when you're educated, you can pull out these different tools, right? Anyway, going back to once you get educated on all these and understand them from beginning to end, what it looks like, and time management, financial responsibilities, and resources that you may have to be able to contribute towards these different things, then you're going to find out like what your heart's gravitated towards, what actually makes sense and aligns with your vision and your goals. When you figure that out, then dial that one strategy in. Okay, pick one strategy, and now it's time to really get educated on it. I know you did a little bit of due diligence for 30 minutes for each one, and you understand, okay, I understand what it takes. I got to buy this. I got to look there. I got to do these things. And then at the end, it should take this long. Contractors I got to deal with, and then refinance, rent it out, all that stuff. Like, I get that. Cool. But now I want you to get really educated, laser beam focused on just that strategy. I'm talking all the books on just that strategy, all the podcasts, all the YouTube, all the things. Go to the RIA groups, network, find other investors and mentors that are doing only that strategy. Learn from them, not people in the past that were doing that strategy. I'm talking about living broad day right now in that strategy. Yes, you can get, mentors that have done that in the past, but I'm talking about what's working today. What's working today? What's working right now with that strategy that you're looking to implement? And more importantly, in the area that you're looking to implement. We'll talk about location in just a second, but deep dive into this strategy, and I recommend a minimum of 6 months. And I'm talking not like, yeah, I read 2 books in 6 months. I'm talking like put in some work. If you're putting in at least 5 to 10 hours a week towards this, then we know you're going to have higher probability of succeeding with this by soaking up that knowledge. But realistically, like, you should be diving into this stuff. Before I got started, I was doing 4 hours every single day for 2 years. Before I got the confidence and boldness of like, hey, I get it now. I get it. And then I thought I had it, but I still made all the mistakes that I already learned in the books not to do. I made excuses and exceptions for it, and it bit me in the butt. And you may do the same thing. And that's why a mentor, if I had one at the time, it would have saved me in many cases. So sit down with yourself, be focused on the education for at least 6 months, but deep dive into this stuff and find somebody that's doing it to be able to not like pick their brain, but really get the true education and the confirmation before implementation. Okay. And that's going to be able to save you some time. Next is after you understand that strategy and you are very well educated on it, you're starting to get some resources, some people, you're getting more excited behind it, and you should get excited. Something should have the heart going like, yeah, this aligns with what I'm trying to do. Then it's about picking that location, because not all locations are going to match with the strategy that you picked. So figure out which locations match with that strategy. And if you could do it in your backyard, great. That's incredible. It makes it simplified. If it's not in your backyard, or there's better opportunities in other people's backyard, then that's okay too. When I first got started in real estate investing, it was back in 2015. I was trying to get started here in San Diego for 2 years. I put in like 30 something offers and kept on getting beat by real investors that I do now, like all cash, no contingencies, close in 5 to 7 days, So I just kept on getting beat out by really educated people. But I started looking in other states, Arizona, Colorado, New Jersey, where I'm from, and then Ohio. And so it made sense to invest over in Ohio at the time. And so I think it's important to realized like this actually helped me in many ways because I'm more of a control freak, or at least in the past I was extremely. And so if it was in my backyard, I would have wasted so much more time and I would have been more lazy with it and wouldn't have created a process and tried to simplify it, because instead I could have just manually got up and went over to that property or whatever I wouldn't have spent the time, because it's 3,000 miles away. If it was just 10 miles away, I wouldn't have spent the time to systemize, to organize, to prepare for longevity and be able to elevate and delegate, because that's crucial. I realized quickly after flying over there every 3 months that, hey, I should be building more relationships here so that I can count on and rely on other people as the boots on the ground, because I can't do that. I can't keep coming here every 3 months. And so after doing that for 2 years, then it was like, all right, now let's systemize this. And I haven't been there in years and years and years. And so, but we still have systems in place and resources and things still get done, right? Anyway, so when you actually figure out picking the location, there's a couple things that you do want to look out for. I'm talking job growth, population growth, and then something unique about the area. Something unique about the area could be like a university is popping up, or like in Ohio is a famous Catholic university that people all around the world that were flying into and so forth and staying, going to this university. It could be a new Amazon store, a new plantation, new something is like showing up that's going to bring in a ton of job growth, something that's up and coming potentially. You want to stay out of the areas that have already popped. Like if the market, it was a buzz years ago and everybody's trying to get there and like there's too much new builds, there's too much empty properties and so forth. Like, what is it? Houston, from my understanding, from what I'm hearing, there is a lot of deals and discounts going on right now because there's too much supply, not enough demand. And so some of the landlords or owners are offering 2-3 months, no rent, low security deposit, zero security deposit, just to get people in the door to try to keep them and try to get them to start paying rent, because it's getting a little bit more difficult. They overgrew this several years ago when 5, 6, 7 years ago, so many investors, big investors, were going over there and kind of blowing up things. And so the areas that have popped already, look out for that. The areas that are staying, there's still a decent amount of pressure and like there's just not enough housing and so forth. There could be some opportunities for you. So you do your own due diligence with that. But I like to say, look for job growth, population growth, something unique, and stay away from the areas that have already popped. Keep in mind, I've done a podcast many, many years ago, but feel free to either look that up or check out Neil Bawa. He is somebody that I believe to be an incredible expert at understanding more about location and really deep diving into the analytics, the data, the details, to see what is kind of the tips and tricks to be able to figure out what is a up and coming area that you can kind of jump into and try to capitalize on off of. So look that up, and that should be, that should be able to give you some good knowledge with that. Next, after you figure out the strategy, you figure out the location, you are well educated and you are getting prepared, you're crystal clear on what the outcome is going to be. Now it's time to start building relationships in that area. I do recommend try to do as much as you can virtually, just over the phone at first, even if it's within your backyard. Like, build as much relationship over the phone at first, and then afterwards have a sheet, like a whole hit list of all these relationships, and go there in person, start shaking hands. Like you could do the police department, you could do the fire department, you could do the local schools, universities, you could do Section 8, you could do lenders in the area, retail, like agents, brokers, you could do all these other banks, right? You could talk to the librarian, you could talk to the Chamber of Commerce, you could talk to wholesalers. You should be networking with every single person and being crystal clear on exactly what you're looking for. You should go to all the meetup events, business ones. You should go to the RIA groups, of course. You should find out what's going on real estate related within that area and business related in that area, and anything that has to do with potentially getting homes or needing housing. You should be talking to them, trying to figure out, police department, fire department, find the areas that are not good, find the areas that are great, find the areas that are up and coming or what they believe. Like, try to get some data from people that have lived there and been there for a long time. And if they don't know, that's okay, but just be friendly and try to get some advice and try to, when you just are truly honest with yourself, saying, hey, I'm brand new, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to figure it out, people are going to have respect and people are going to try their best to support you and help out because they can see a little bit of themselves in you and realize, like, hey, that's what I believe, people looked at me when I'm calling them. They're like, man, this young kid doesn't know anything about this damn area. Like, they're going to make a mistake or they're going to screw this up, or, they're eager at, like, they think to themselves, hey, I wanted to do real estate in the past. I can't believe this kid's saying he wanted to do the same and he's actually doing it. Like, I missed out on my goal. But he's doing it. So that's cool. Maybe I should try to help him out or point him in the right direction so he doesn't make a mistake. I have kids. Like, I don't want my kids to, they just start rationalize with this. They want to be able to be in your favor and help you out. And so if you're crystal clear on, like, hey, I'm looking for a triplex, I'm looking for all the fourplexes in the area, I'm looking for a duplex, I'm looking for in these neighborhoods, I want this square footage, these many bedrooms, I'm open to this and this and this. If it has a backyard, great. I'm looking for a 2-car parking spot minimum because that's what the neighborhood needs. That's what the people have with your due diligence. This is what this location is asking for, or it's like a mandatory, or this is what's up and coming in this neighborhood that is needed, and that's going to make your property stand out. I want it within these blocks because it's a couple blocks away from the university that kids can walk to. Things like that, like, just start positioning yourself for it, and it's going to set you up for more success. But when you're building these relationships, just being crystal clear on that and why are you doing this, people are going to get attached to it. They're going to try to help you out. They're going to be in your corner, and then you just let them know, like, hey, reach out to me with all of these deals and offers and try to get as much data as possible. And then you can ring, ask them for a referral at the end of the call and say, who should I talk to next? If you were me, who would you call after this? Or who should I speak to? Like, do you have any referrals or connections to somebody that may have some deals? Or do you have a property? Like, you interested in selling something like that? You can make it fun, but if they give you a couple names, like, yeah, call, this banker over here, or this realtor, this wholesaler, or, this neighbor has a property thinking about selling in the past, call them. And my name's Betsy, just let John know that Betsy sent you over, stuff like that. You can start name dropping and it just sets you up a little bit more successful. And then follow your word and keep your word with everything that you state. Follow through, just be a man or a woman of your word. It's going to go a long way in many areas. When you're building these relationships and they start sending you these deals, you should always, always, always get back to them as soon as possible. Ideally within 24 hours. And if you can't, just message them back right away as soon as possible and just say, hey, thanks so much for sending this over. It means the world to me. I will get back to you in the next 24 hours running some numbers. And then keep your word again and make sure that you get it. Whether they're asking for $1 million and they're way out of the park and you're at 100K, it doesn't matter. There's no low ball as long as you justify. There's got to be justification behind it. If you're not justifying it and you're just throwing low ball numbers out there, it's plain ignorant, rude as hell, and you can't justify. You can't just throw out numbers and just say, take it. That's just what it is, punk. Like, it comes off like you're an asshole. Don't do that. And so I say that because I've seen that. You don't want to do that. And so make sure that you are justifying everything. And even if your numbers are like, you're over exaggerating in one area just because you don't know, you put, I don't know, like 40K or something for HVAC, and you're just like, I don't know, I thought maybe it could be in this area. At least you can kind of explain that down the road and they can clarify, or you can start justifying and try to get a negotiation going. and you basically just want some negotiation to start spinning. And so get good at sales, get good at negotiations, because when you start having all these deals coming in and these opportunities, like 10 deals across your desk per week or more, you're going to want to start getting back to them right away and not missing out on it. Not like I've seen so many people that, oh, it's too far off, I won't even bother with it. Don't do that. Send it to them to reward them, to say, hey, keep it coming. Thank you. This is why it's going to work or why it's not going to work, but I appreciate it. It means the world to me that you're thinking of me, and keep sending more. It encourages them to not stop and not waste their time. But now you're getting more lasered in on exactly what you need in case they sent you something wild, like I'm not looking for a chicken coop, I'm looking for a house, something like that. But when you start getting these opportunities and you're submitting offers on it, you get into negotiations. The biggest thing that you're looking for is to put as little down as possible, give yourself protection, and give yourself time. If this is your first deal, it's going to take some time for you. If it's a very motivated seller, then they aren't typically going to have time. They're not going to want time. They're going to want to be like, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go. And so because of that pressure and pain, if they need to close quick, and there's less competition on it, it's just one-on-one with you, then maybe you can negotiate a really good deal, like even less, to get them out quicker, to help solve their problems faster. But if not, and there's a lot of attention on it, then the early bird gets a worm. Like the person that's most prepared, has the most, closest to their offer, and that can move quickly, that's the person that's going to win. And so that's why you want to position yourself as much as that as you can as soon as possible. But your very first deal, you should be trying to get as long as possible time, and don't treat it as you got 30 or 40 days, or 60 days. Treat it as if you got 10 days and move quick. Put all your time and attention into this to prepare and position yourself to truly take down this deal. When the clock starts is when the clock starts, and that's when the scary moment actually happens, right? Then it's like, oh, I got a deal. You submitting offers, you don't got a deal. That's something that, like, as a brand new person, you don't realize that at first. You start getting excited and start getting freaking out and scared when you're submitting offers. You're writing things on napkins here. Like, this should be a 10-minute type of offer that you're putting together, instead of a 2-3 day type of offer that you're really calculating. You should do that due diligence up front of knowing what the water department in that area is costing, what electric is costing, what certain contractors are costing in the area, by doing simple due diligence and resources within the area. When I'm talking about building relationships, talking to the handyman, the different contractors in the area, you should know these things and be prepared and positioned. You don't need to have it dialed in into a T, but you should have a rough understanding of it, so that when you're running these numbers, you're just doing some napkin numbers. When you get it under contract, or when you're in negotiating, now you can take it a little bit more serious. But when you put it under contract, that's when your due diligence really starts. The longer that you put on there, if it's 14 days or a month, you got that much time to do your due diligence before you have, whenever you put on the contract that you're signing off on contingencies. If you put no contingencies, then you got to close on the deal, or the earnest money is taken. So that's what you're sacrificing. So if you put a low earnest money deposit down, then you're sacrificing just a little bit. I put an earnest money down of $1 in the past. It had to be, in contract, some financial requirement. Wrote a check for $1 just to lock it in place. You can get very creative with off-market opportunities and deals in many cases, but it comes down to buy yourself as much time as possible, because on your first deal, there's going to be a lot of moving things that are going to scare you, and you need that time to go through that process and prepare yourself for it. But don't act like you got time. Act like, time is now. So move fast with it, but buy yourself time, because you'll need it. And then in addition, try to put down as low amount as possible for that earnest money to get you protection, and try to put a contingency in there of, investor approval, partner approval. That could be your dog, like you could just wiggle out of it if needed, or like the financial contingencies isn't typically the sexiest, because then the seller starts getting curious. Are you going to be able to perform? Will you have the capital? Do you actually have the capital to be able to perform? Anyway, speaking of which, when you're putting out these offers, if you need a pre-approval letter, you can go to besttransactionalfunding.com, and there is a pre-approval letter that you can generate within 2 seconds, and you can just type in the address and whatever financial numbers that you want. It will come out with either your business name or your entity or your full name on there, however you want it, and it'll show a pre-approval letter that you could utilize. So hope that helps out. Anyway, you're going to want to learn how to run your numbers and then submit these offers quickly. Okay. Again, this is on the back of a napkin type of, rough numbers that you're putting together until the deal is actually accepted and you're in negotiations, right? Because then you can, it looks like we're about to sign on this. Great. Let's really chop up some due diligence ASAP, or lock in the contract, because when it's binding, then really run your due diligence properly and you can be positioned for it to renegotiate during that, right? Before you're signing off on any of the contingencies, before it goes hard, basically. And basically the money is, your earnest money is at risk at that point. So running your numbers, it's all going to depend on the strategy that you picked. Every strategy is going to have numbers that are different, right? So figuring out the strategy afterwards, you can figure out the location. After that, you can figure out the relationships are all going to be the same, but you want to make sure that you're getting these relationships to send you these offers, and then running the numbers. It's all going to be based off of what strategy that we're referring to and that location specifically, because that location, the numbers for the average properties and so forth could be completely different than, somewhere else. And so you want to make sure that it's relevant to the rough, napkin numbers to exactly what you are trying to submit, so that it's not like out of whack completely. So with that being said, what I can give you as a reference, I would say, is like even just going on biggerpockets.com. There's several different calculators on there that you can play around with. You can see what, which different areas are kind of have different numbers and so forth. And you can start, as you're doing all that due diligence in that location or in that strategy, you should be able to get some information on running numbers as well. That should bring you some confidence, some clarity, and understand that education's great. It's going to take you, I would say, about 50% there. I wish it took you more. You're going to feel like you're at 80, 90%. Don't overanalyze this. When you actually start hands-on approach and start doing it physically, it's going to bring that other 50% into play, and you will make mistakes. Bottom line, you will make mistakes, but I rather fail forward. And just like when you started walking or running, like you had to crawl, you had to stand up and fall, and you had to do it a dozen times, and a lot more than that, truthfully. When you rode a bike, you fell down several times. Your parents knew it, and they still push you into the bush or like whatever it is. But you have to, the joy of riding a bike, it still beats out that temporary, sacrifice of falling into the bush numerous times. So make sure that you realize, count the blessings and realize, yes, there are some nasty things that could happen. So prepare yourself, position yourself, have backup plans, but realistically, don't forget to count all the things that could go right. And sometimes just failing forward, it works. Real estate, you don't need to be a rocket scientist or anything. Like you just need to take action, understand some of this stuff, and start implementing it, and watch what it does for you. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that brings value to you guys today. This is what I would be doing right now if I was looking for a deal in the next 30 to 90 days. I would be analyzing at least 3 deals per day and submitting offers on all 3 of them every single day for the next 60, 90 days. I promise you, within 30 to 90 days, you're going to be able to get something in negotiations back and forth and something under contract. I've never been wrong with this. I've never had somebody that I was coaching or mentoring do this and not get something under contract. That's just what it is. We've had people fall out of contract afterwards just because they got scared. There were whatever excuses, the due diligence, whatever. They found some things, but several of the people that I've coached on this or have done myself, because I do this strategy, 3 per day, analyze, and I don't care what the numbers come back at. I will give what I feel comfortable paying on that as an investor still trying to make money with this strategy for this property in this location. I will submit an offer every single time so that I'm not wasting the people's time that send it over to me, and I'm giving what I believe to be a fair offer where me as the investor will still make money, because that's why I'm doing it, right? I'm here to solve somebody else's problems, but I'm also here because I'm an investor and I'm trying to make my money work hard for me. Okay. And I need to get paid for my time, my experience, and I need to protect my family and my finances. So, I'm going to submit an offer, and this is what I feel comfortable with for these reasons, right? Justify it. But at the end of the day, 3 offers per day within 30 to 90 days, I guarantee it. It's worked for me every single time. Everybody that I've coached on it as well, you can close on the deal and it will bless you. And then there's other levels to closing on the deal, or even just doing the due diligence, find the contractors, make sure that you're prepared for it. Depends on the strategy, what you're doing. But I hope that does make sense. Now let's talk about the financing part for a second as we wrap this up. Again, going back to how do we get prepared for what's to come? Well, getting liquid, I talked about in the very beginning. I talked about how we were selling off properties and how we're even taking out loans at affordable fixed rates right now. And you may say, well, the rates are 8% right now. Come on, Brandon, that's crazy. Well, yes, and I'll still take out those loans as well if I need to, or if it makes sense, right? Have backup plans. I don't need to use it right now. I could put it into something and at least make 5%. So I'm arbitraging and I'm only losing a little bit for that time being. Or I could put it into crypto and make, I could stake it and make a guaranteed return in certain areas to protect myself, right? Or life insurance. But during that time, I want to stay liquid as possible so that I can capitalize on opportunities that I believe are coming up in the next 30 to 90 days on the earliest. I believe in the earliest time frame, in the next 30 to 90 days, something could shift hugely and that you're not going to want to miss out on, or it could take the next, 6 to 12, 18 months, right? But I do believe some amazing things are going to be happening that we'll look back on and we're like, damn, I wish I would have had more money to put towards this. The people that are going to be prepared in position are going to still be saying that, like, damn, I wish I would have talked all my friends into doing this too, or something like that, And then the other people that are going to be kicking their feet, they're going to, just be wishing, man, I wish I would have actually listened, or wish I would have prepared or did some due diligence. I wish I would have not just been sitting around and bitching and moaning about the tariffs, but actually prepared myself to capitalize on the opportunities that came from it. Okay. So what I would recommend doing is this: learn how to talk to these banks properly. That's exactly what I did back in 2011, 2012. And I learned how to utilize the different rules that these banks and lenders were holding against us, the stuff they're not teaching you in school, the stuff that isn't being talked at around the dinner table. This is the stuff that can be life-changing if you give it the opportunity to, right? So we have dialed this in here at Credit Counsel Elite, how there's 45 plus different metrics on how these banks and lenders are judging you. It's not just about your FICO score we've identified. It's not just about that. A lot of people out there think that's the case. Well, it's just about, I'm already in the 800 FICO score. That's great, my friend. We've had people with 840 FICO scores that thought they knew it all, and then come to find out they applied for 7 cards and every single one got denied. So it's not just about the FICO score. It's not just about the bank relationships. All right. It's not just about what you're saying to them. It's a combination of everything and so much more. 45 different metrics. I don't want you to sleep on this. I want you to be educated on this. I want you to be able to capitalize off of it. There's more than enough wealth to go around. So look, this is what we're doing right now. We are hosting a webinar coming up this Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Look, you are not going to want to miss this. I mark my words on this. You're not going to want to miss this. This is where we're going to be showing you step by step these 45 different metrics on how these banks and lenders are judging you. So you have the opportunity to understand that this is real life monopoly and that this is a true game, and how to actually win at this. There's rules. And if you don't know the rules, then unfortunately you're winging it. I'm tired of seeing people out there winging it. I want to see you get massive amounts of funding. I want to see you get up to 90% approval odds. I want to see you do this with confidence and boldness so that you can get the capital needed to be able to take down more territory, to either start that business that you've always wanted to, so you get out of your 9 to 5 that you desperately hate, or maybe you love, but you're just like, hey, I can't rely on my CEO or this corporate company. I've seen other people in the corporate ladder work their way up and then miss out on their retirement for one reason or another. I need to diversify. I need to take this into my own hands. Maybe you're a business owner that you've been, working on your own thing for too long and trying to use your own personal credit for too long. And now, in this leverage season, your personals are drowning, your score's dropping, your utilization's high. It's a slow death trap that you're potentially sliding into. You want to be careful with this. Maybe you're a power couple that you're just trying to look to set up generational wealth for the kids. Position yourself for financial freedom in the longevity of things, breaking off generational curses. Maybe that's you. But what I can tell you is this, that wherever you're currently at, if you want to start a business, if you want to grow and scale a business, if you're looking for capital to do it, because again, it takes money to make money, my friends, then this is a great opportunity to learn how to get smart capital. I'm talking interest rates as low as 0%. So that you can get up to 90% approval odds and up to $500,000 in new funding. And you can do this and repeat this every 6 months per person. With interest rates as low as 0% from anywhere from 6 to 24 months. On average, 18 months, you can capitalize off of this and you can really grow and scale. So this is the opportunity, my friends, that you've been waiting for. This is the time to draw the line in the sand and say enough is enough. I'm tired of getting denied from these banks. I'm tired of my personal credit getting jacked up from this. I'm tired of having all these derogatory, delinquent, late payments, personal records, public records, hard inquiries galore. I'm tired of doing this on my own and getting only this far. I know that there's levels to this. I know people like Brandon or other people in Credit Counsel Elite, they're getting massive amounts of funding. They're fixing credit, deleting things quickly. They're positioning themselves for what's up and coming. And so if you are ready to do that as well, then this webinar this Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is what you're not going to want to miss out on. That's where we're going to show you how to get massive amounts of funding. So with that being said, I encourage you to go to creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. There is a quick 5 to 10 minute video on there that explains more about what the heck we're doing, what this is all about, and how it could bless you and answer some of your questions. More importantly, be able to position you for better questions to ask. After that, you can have a one-on-one call with either myself or somebody on our team by simply just clicking and booking that link. It's totally complimentary. I'm paying for it. But after that, you can simply just ask us, hey, there's a webinar coming up. I wanted to learn more, and sit down with Brandon and ask any questions. So you can do that, but that's coming up this Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can also just DM us on social media. If you're not following us on social media, you're missing out. Check out Credit Counsel Elite on IG or Brandon Elliott Investments on IG, and you can just simply DM us there saying, hey, there's an upcoming webinar coming up, question mark, let me know. I want the link. Then we can share that with you too, okay? Anyway, love you guys all so much. If you are not subscribed to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast yet, I don't know what to say to you. I would say I'm disappointed, but I'm not. I'm just saddened. All right. Seriously, get out there. Make sure wherever you listen to your podcast episodes, hit that subscribe button. You'll get the newest notification every single Monday so that you know when the new one's dropping. After that, leave that 5-star review so it lets the algorithm know, like, hey, we are doing some amazing things. We have some awesome people on here. We're giving some real truth and value so that you could soak up. And again, we are all geared towards educating, motivating, and preparing you, my friends, to take massive action in real estate and just be able to get that financial freedom, get that time freedom, get that blessing for you and your family and your finances, right? This is for your future. So I encourage you, stay blessed within this community by subscribing, leave that 5-star review, and check out creditcounselelite.com. That's www.creditcounselelite.com. Let's get this massive amount of funding. Let's prepare ourselves and position ourselves for what is up and coming. And I know you will not regret it, my friends. All right. Don't be like the others out there that are sleeping on this. There's going to be incredible opportunities. I want you to be prepared and positioned for it. We'll see you guys on the inside. Till next week. Till then, God bless. Appreciate you. Have an incredible week ahead, and we'll catch you on the next one. Till then. God bless. Peace out.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.